Sorry about that, guys. Downside about having to record on my phone is I, just had a phone call. All good. Let's flip back to the NFC. Um, like I said, there's no four spectacular teams that I think are gonna make, like all four from one division gonna make playoffs. I don't foresee that happening. As far as the wild card teams goes, let's put Dallas in the mix. Again, like I said, I'm not thrilled about the Cowboys, but I'm not going to count them out. They can probably sneak in there. As far as the other teams goes, let me see. There's nobody that really jumps out at me. Seattle's probably going to take one of those wild card spots. They did last year. And as far as the other teams go, let me see. I think the Giants will do it. Giants, Cowboys, Seattle. Yeah, Giants, Cowboys, Seattle are going to be my NFC wildcard teams. Now, as far as the breakdown goes, we're just going to fast forward. My NFC championship game is going to be a repeat of last year. Again, it's probably going to be San Francisco against Philly. There's San Francisco, there's Philly, and then there's the rest of the teams. There is a gap. It's pretty significant, I'd say. So we'll see, barring injuries and everything like that. But they're just two well-rounded teams. Philly will probably edge out the Niners going to the Super Bowl again. We'll see. Flip side to the AFC, what I have going is more than likely Buffalo versus KC. What I want to see, though, keep in mind, this is just what I want to see, and it will be dope. So I'm going to throw it out there. Jacksonville versus Cincinnati. Trevor Lawrence versus Joe Burrow. We saw it in college for a national championship. We can see it here. I could be wrong. I don't follow college football that often, but I do recall them playing for a huge title or playing in a bowl game. I think it was for the Natty. Don't exactly remember. I do remember loving seeing those guys duke it out. They're going to put up numbers. They have the teams to do it. And it's just, I don't see them a lot of upsets on the way. Those two teams would have to upset, Buffalo or KC. They can. They have the ability to. Again, they're good, solid, just well-rounded units. And that's why I have them going pretty far, at least. Inevitably, the Super Bowl could be a rematch against Philly against KC. I think Buffalo's going to make it. I think Buffalo has what it takes. They're just going to edge out KC right there and just send them home. It's just Buffalo versus Philly. That's what I'm thinking. As far as winners goes, Philadelphia is going to take it. Philadelphia was there last year. They looked good. They didn't lose it by a lot. Again, it was a close game, back and forth the whole time. I think Philly will just edge out Buffalo just a little bit. Even though Buffalo has a good defense, Philly has the edge. I'm just saying. Yeah, that's right there. Those are my early winners and losers for the season. So we'll see how it pans out. I was going to talk Dynasty and everything like that, or fantasy football. I am starting up a Dynasty League, so let's get into that. As far as the Gonzaga jersey goes, repping my hometown, Spokane, our boys Gonzaga, you're a basketball guy, you know them. The NBA Finals going on too. Crazy series. I think Denver's going to take it. I'm a Miami guy. Obviously, I'm a Laker fan, but I'm pulling for Miami because of my boy Jimmy. It's insane. You never know what to expect. So into fantasy football. A lot of you guys are going to be starting up this year. A lot of people like me are doing several redraft leagues. Those are just the most common style fantasy leagues. You and your buddies get together once a year or don't. You draft the entire NFL pool. That's cool. This is my first year doing a Dynasty startup. Doing a Dynasty League in general, so it is startup year. I'm very excited. I'm coming in with the 2 pick. I have 12 guys doing it, 11 including me, and it's going to be super exciting to see everybody, how they do it, how they build their team and stuff like that. I'm super excited. I've been doing the research, been talking the time. I have a lot of mock drafts going on. Hey! I have a lot of mock drafts that I've been doing. A overall, I'm pretty excited. Your top fantasy dynasty players. I'm doing a super flex, so right now we're looking at Mahomes, Allen, Hurts. Um, 4 is going to be, I believe it was Justin Jefferson. You're looking at Jamar Chase. Justin Fields is in there too. Those are going to be like your core guys. It's going to be crazy to see how everybody builds their team and stuff like that. As far as the do's and don'ts, last year I was pretty explicit about not touching anybody in the NFC East. I was proven wrong. A lot of those players blew up. There's not a lot of don't touch players on my lists like there used to be. As far as like where you're drafting and what you should do, it's all about your own strategy and what you want to do. As far as a basic, redraft every year, 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 2 receiver, 1 tight end, 1 flex. As far as those goes, your defenses, your kickers and defenses, you can play your defense week by week. Obviously, there's the defenses that are gonna set the bar and be, so you have the ones that are gonna be your week in, week out point getters. And there's a ton of them out there, so if you're one of those people that drafts the defense early, we'll see, how that goes. A lot of times they are pretty consistent, but I'm not going to draft a defense before round 15, 16. I want to fill out the rest of my roster. You can play your defenses week by week. I mean, kickers is the same thing. I'm not a fan of drafting a kicker early, nor will I ever do that. I typically go, 2 running back, 1 flex league. You could potentially start 3 running backs. I'd go running back. Hit them heavy. Running backs are going to be point getters, stuff like that. That's just my personal preference. You're looking at PPR, half point PPR, stuff like that. PPR flips the script. If I am a top 3 pick, top 4 pick, you're going for a stud wide receiver. I'm going to look for Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. All those guys are going to be gone. So you have to look at, who's going to be left. Stephon Diggs, everything like that. Some of these rookie receivers are going to come out. Zay Flowers is going to be one of those guys that's going to be a stud in Baltimore. It's just about getting them the touches. Odell's going to, bring some attention to him. So it's all about, where you want to draft your, key components to get you a fantasy title. Quarterbacks are one of those things that, depending on if it's super flex or not super flex, I'm not taking a quarterback early unless it's super flex. My dynasty startup is super flex, and it's a dynasty league. I'm taking a quarterback early because there's only so many young quarterbacks out there. You have your Fields, you have your Mahomes, you have your Allen. Yes, Allen and Mahomes are 27 years old. That is still young for a quarterback. You're getting 10 years out of those players. The average retirement age for a quarterback is 37, 38. So you're getting 10 years out of those players. Most of the time, they do retire before they're 40. You have Breeze, Rivers, all those guys, Matt Ryan, all these guys were productive until they were about 38. So that's when they end up calling it quits. So you have those guys, Tom Brady, Brett Favre, freaks of nature, don't get me wrong, they played into their 40s. But at the same time, you're looking to build a team in Dynasty that's going to last. It's win now or win forever. You have the win now strategy. You're going to be picking the guys that are proven producers and just are going to keep them. Granted, a lot of those proven producers are kind of old, so when do you lose them? When they can retire? How do you move on for those players? Your rookie drafts going to have a lot of key components. It's just, when do you filter these guys out? You're also looking at, big name players like Bijan Robinson coming up. Bijan Robinson in a lot of startup dynasty leagues, I see him going about 5, 6, and 7. That's just right about that range. Because you're looking at the main people that are going before. You have Mahomes, Hurts, Allen are more than likely your first 3 picks. This is where it gets weird. Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, more than likely your next 2. That's where 6, 7, 8, Bijan's right there in that range. Do you pull the trigger on potentially a prolific running back? You never know. He could be Atlanta's entire offense, and he could be one of the top offensive weapons, not only in the NFL but in fantasy. He's going to be a point getter. So you have to figure out, where do I want to go with my team to get them inevitably to a championship. Granted, you could sacrifice early for such a young player, not really have the veterans around him, but you use next year's pick to supplement. Say you're stuck with the older quarterbacks late, like Aaron Rodgers, or some of the other guys that are just kind of a little weathered in the league, but are still producing. So, let's say your year ends, you want to move on, or not necessarily, but you have a high draft pick. Here's where you take that quarterback. You taxi that player. Taxi is a position on your roster where you can set your rookie. They just sit there. They just do whatever. They stay on your roster, but they just stay taxied. When it's time to activate that player, boom, call them up. It's just like redshirting a player, put them on your main roster. The thing is, once you roster him, you cannot taxi him. So one of your older guys is going bye-bye. And that's one of those things, is you have to be prepared to move on and, build your team. That's why I'm so excited to have, this kind of twist on fantasy sports. It's not really a twist, it's just my first time doing it. So, and I know a lot of our past few minutes was a lot jumbled up. I didn't really stay on track. It happens. As far as where you want to go with your team, it's not really on you. There's so many fantasy website experts and websites out here. My computer is on Fantasy Pros right now. Just so I can, stay up to date. Who's doing what? Who's going where? It's just, a lot of these guys, this has Fields, Burrow, all those guys, 5'6". This is a huge tool. I cannot stress that enough. This has been super helpful for me in trying to build my teams. It gives me a good idea of what I'm gonna get, when and where. And ultimately, you can change it for your redraft scenarios and stuff like that. A lot of those redraft players, it's where you want to go with your team is going to be pretty telling. If you want to start running back, and then go big name receiver, stuff like that. It's all about, be very decisive how the direction you want to go is what I'm saying. Because if you have star receiver, star running back, star tight end, all those guys circled, cool. Just be aware of where you think these guys are going to go. Have your backup plans. Look at, have a list of guys that are okay, I want this guy. If he's not there, I want these next 3 guys. Be ready to have contingency plans in case your people aren't there. Because it is huge. It is huge to have backup plans. You're not going to get the quarterback you want. Most of the time, you're not even going to get some of the players you want. This dickhead in front of you, your friend that you're doing this league with, your good friend, is probably going to snipe some of your players. Keep your secrets to yourself. They'll be like, oh, my guy's still there. Sweet. No. A lot of these people in your draft are going to think like you are. They're going to see Ramondre Stevenson out there in the 4th or 5th round and be like, he's going to get a lot of carries in New England. You never know. It's all about building your team, building it smart, and then a lot of it is throughout the season. I mean, let's be real, leagues are won and lost on the waiver wire. A player goes down, backup running back starts. Boom, that backup running back is phenomenal in this offense. We saw it with Melvin Gordon in his holdout. Austin Eckler came out and was just a stud. Melvin didn't have a case. That's just, you have so many, starting running backs that can go down, starting receivers that can go down. The next man up is huge. So be ready on that waiver wire and just be decisive about, well, I have to drop this guy, boom. A lot of leagues are incorporating IR spots, which are cool. Those are huge because if your player is only out for 6 to 7 weeks, Derrick Henry, i.e. last year, out for about, a while. Granted, he wasn't back for fantasy playoffs, but say Derrick Henry gets hurt in week 1, is only out for about 5 or 6 weeks. boom, throw him on your IR spot. Hopefully, potentially as backup. That way, you're not, left high and dry with your stud running back out. So, my only advice, really, I just want to give you the information that's out there. Like, it's all. I'm no guru. I'm no fancy expert. I don't even have a fancy title to my name. You can take what I have to say, or you don't. I don't care. It's just one of those things where I just wanted to get it out there. Fantasy Pros is what I base most of my rankings off of. That's what I'm going to base a lot of my drafts off of. This is actually my war room for drafting. I just got it set up. This is going to be my studio as well. So, again, this, like I said, this is just my take on fantasy. You do with it what you want. And, overall, thank you for watching. Thank you for watching Showtime with RC. Hopefully it's going to be a great season. I know it's going to be a great season because I'm going to see you guys once a week. I'm going to give you guys my takes on what happened the previous week. We're going to be following DeAndre Hopkins watch. That's going to be huge. Dalvin Cook watch. A lot of these free agents, there's still cuts to come. Some of these veteran players aren't safe. You know who you are out there. A lot of these guys are going to be switching teams. Trades are going to happen. Trades are going to happen for you in fantasy. Don't get trade, boned. People are going to try to stack their picks against you. Just be ready. That's the best advice I can give you. Be educated. Be ready. Get ready for a good season. My name's Ryan from Showtime with RC. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next week.